right? Say a bit of backstory, right, for you. I used to be a heroin addict, right? Partly because I thought that would end up with me kicking the habit and eventually ending up with someone like Katy Perry. But I found out that that's not how drugs work, you know. Unfortunately, you know, otherwise we'd all be on them and then off them and then in Katy Perry. Not obviously at the same time, that would be ridiculous. And I'm sure there'd be some sort of super injunction about it anyway. But right, never mind about that. Like, you know, but what happened, right? How I actually got on it initially was it's a bit of a weird story, because I was coming home from school one day. I was only 6 years old, and it's a bit rough sending the kid home on his own from school anyway, you know. But yeah, pardon me. But my dad was a junkie, so he couldn't come and pick me up, you know. And obviously, like, my mum was looking after him to make sure he didn't do something stupid, get hit by a car or whatever. And you know, quite sad, really, you know. But bear with me on this one, right? So I crack on, right, walking home from school, down by the bank of the Clyde. Right, I'm feeling alright, you know, feeling quite good. It's 6 year old, you know, it's nice blue sky. It wasn't raining, which is a bit of a surprise on an autumn day in Glasgow. And then suddenly I hear, "Hey, you!" And I turn round and there's a bunch of guys running, right, and there's nobody else about. So it's got to be me, right, that they're after. And I started running, or trying to run, you know, as fast as my wee 6 year old legs could carry me. And so I'm running and I'm running, but obviously these are big men, you know, big guys, and they're a lot faster than me. So they catch up with me and they grab me, right, and they say, see you, wee man, your dad, right, he owes us money for smack, son, right, do you know what that is? So I'm shaking my head, you know, like I didn't really know at the time, you know, what it was. But he kept disappearing with my belt, my dad, you know. So I had to, like, get like a really cheap shite belt from, like, a bit of rope or something. I got bullied at school for that. Wasn't nice either. But anyway, I'm getting off the point here. They're like, these guys, they grab me, right, and one of them says, right, we need to send them a message, right, a clear message. So one of them, right, puts his hand in his pocket, right, and he takes out this razor, like, you can't see anything there, but, you know, it's just running through my head, right, and he goes and he presses it on my finger, right, and I'm terrified, because, like, you know, I'm rooted to the spot now where the guy got me, you know, and, like, I couldn't run fast enough with my wee 6 year old legs, and I'm cursing my 6 year old legs for not being long enough to, like, kick him in the balls, or, like, I don't know, somehow run away. And I want to scream for my dad, right, but I know my dad's a youth smackhead, so he's not going to help, right, and he's pressing this razor on at my finger. And, like, it's all in my head, all these things, these thoughts and fears and terror, you know, and the pain, like, but I couldn't scream. My voice, I don't know, maybe it was where he grabbed me, he's grabbed my voice as well, you know. And he's cutting and he's cutting. And one of them says, "Oh, no, I got a better idea." And he grabs me by the ankle, right, he moves down and grabs my ankle, right, lifts me right up. So I'm upside down, and he holds me over, right, the barrier by the Clyde, right, and he's holding me over, right? I think he's about to drop me in. You know, I can feel him sort of like loosening his grip, right? And I can feel like something wet and warm on my leg, you know, and I'm so embarrassed and frightened and angry that it's all come to this. And then I see my dad floating face down in the Clyde, and I didn't know where to laugh or finally break out that scream, you know. But that way, me mate. It's hard to talk about this, you know. Right. So I see him floating face down, and the tears start rolling down my face, even though I still can't quite say anything. And Mum says, no, I got an even better idea than that. Right? So they pull me over, back, off, away from the Clyde. Right? And one of me grabs my arm. Right? Grabs my arm, pure grabs it. Gets a belt. Right? It was my belt as well. It nicked it off my dad. Right? I mean, it's a belt. What's a belt worth? You know what I mean? How many debts are you going to pay with that? But never mind. So like he tied it around my arm, you know, pure like pulling it, right? And then he gets out his needle, right, for his pocket, and he injects me with stuff. I start to fade out of consciousness, and I don't even have time to say thank you. And that was my first encounter of Scottish heroin. And it kind of thumps you over the head a wee bit, you know. Just knocks you out. And all your pain and your misery just disappears, like pure goes away. And it's beautiful, you know. Not recommending it, you understand, I'm not telling you to do it, you know. Because like years later, when I was smoking like a cigarette, I used to smoke as well, which is a lesser evil, arguably, but so I'd smoke, and every time I'd take a puff a cigarette, I'd taste heroin. I could taste it, you know. Like, you know, like when the smell of something gets in your nose and you can just kind of taste. It was like that, and but I found out that French heroin, right, doesn't bash you over the head. It gently rocks you to sleep, right? And I know by now some of you are wondering, like, why does he sometimes say head and sometimes heed, right? And I attribute this to having lived in London so long. I'll get to that in a minute, right? I've lived in London about 12, 13 years or something like that anyway. You know, because after the heroin, more about that in a moment. After the heroin, I got on a methadone programme, right? But I just needed to get away from the area, you know. Just pure escape, right? Because otherwise I'm stuck here and I'm on this stuff and I'll be around the same people who are going to get me again and make me, you know, still be on it, which is disgraceful, really, you know. And pardon me again. But before I came down to London, you know, before I was on the methadone programme and all, I found out about French heroin. That was how I ended up in a warehouse in Cali. 3 guys, right, each taking turns to stuff their hairy cocks in my mouth. Me thinking, oh, at least I'm going to get a decent bit of drugs after this, and then I can inject and I'll forget everything, and it'll be like this never happened. You know, it'll be okay. That's what I told myself. You know, it'll be alright. It'll be alright. Is what I was saying to myself, you know. But they're shouting these degrading things at me as well. Hey, you Scottish pig, and all that. And I'm just feeling like shite, you know. And hey, it was horrible, you know. And but I thought, I've got to do this because I've got to get my fix, you know. Because you'll do anything at the time. And each one, right, well, I'm on the floor and they're slapping me, and I think one of them pissed on me at one point, like pure pissed on me, and like horrible. It just is the maelstrom of abuse, you know. It was horrid. It's just like church almost, and so I'm taking turns to blow the load in my mouth, right, and making sure that I don't spit it out. Right, which was bad enough, you know, turning around like a fucking cement mixer, right? And then one of them, he bends over, right? He pure bends over and pulls like the arse cheeks apart, right? And the other one one of the other guys, he just shoves my head right in, right up to the guy's fucking balloon knot, you know, and just trying to lighten it up, alright, you know. Aye. Sorry, balloons make me think of kids' parties, and that's just a whole different area you don't want to go down. But anyway, so right, the other one, he's come up behind me, just going, right, and I've spat the lot right up the guy's arsehole, right, and he stands there for a while, right, bent over, right, and then he like turns round and like lies back, right, pure lies back, opens his legs wide, right, and he shites out an Englishman, right, covered in blood and shit and cum, right. He's wearing a suit as well, right, this guy, and he stands up and he looks at us, right, pure just looks at us in the eye, no disgust, no disgrace, no distaste, nothing, just pure looks at us. He says, well, gentlemen, that's quite an act. What do you call it? And he says, French guy, he looks at him and he says, Family Guy.